Welcome to My Irish Radio, music and culture news, your connection to everything happening in the world of Irish music and culture. I'm Jamie Flanagan. Each episode will share the latest news from Ireland's vibrant music scene, from traditional and folk to rebel ballads, pub tunes, Celtic rock, and today's top Irish pop. We'll also bring you updates on festivals, cultural events, and people keeping Irish heritage alive around the world. And remember, My Irish Radio is more than just a station. It's your community, your soundtrack, your voice. You can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com and through the links in the podcast description below. Here's the best part. You can be part of it. Host your very own show on My Irish Radio. Choose your playlist, share your stories, make My Irish Radio your Irish Radio. Let's get into what's happening this week in Irish music and culture.
Ireland seems to be in the middle of a major creative moment. It feels less like a trend and more like, I don't know, a real cultural surge.
It does. It feels coordinated, even if it isn't. And that's our mission for this deep dive, really, to distill the key nuggets from all these sources and figure out the why.
Exactly. Why is this happening now?
Right. Why is Irish culture surging, not just at home, but on the global stage? And how do all these different pieces, a band, a funding announcement, a political debate, how do they all connect?
That's the goal. We want you, the learner, to get that aha moment. The moment you see the line connecting a viral trad group to a new UNESCO site, it's about looking past the headlines.
And the breadth of it is what's so fascinating. I mean, you have traditional music hitting new commercial highs. You have the state pouring money into global arts projects.
And at the same time, the country is grappling with these big new political and technological shifts.
Exactly. So we'll pull on all those threads to give you that comprehensive picture.
So our plan is to start with the sound waves, where it feels loudest, this new golden age of music people are talking about.
Then we follow the money.
Follow the money. How that sound converts into global cultural currency through heritage and, well, influence.
And after that, we'll look at the stories being told. New books, new screen dramas.
And we'll finish up with the really modern challenges. How this flourishing culture has to navigate politics and technology.
Let's start with the beat then.
Let's do it. So the music scene. The sources are all suggesting it's entering a major new peak.
A new high point.
Yeah, and the key thing here, I think, isn't just hype. It's about traditional music. Trad music specifically. It feels like it's moving out of the niche spaces and becoming way more accessible.
And that accessibility is driving real, measurable success. Which is the difference, isn't it? It's one thing for legacy acts to be respected, but it's another for new artists to take traditional forms and, get mass consumption with them.
And that's where it gets really interesting, because the numbers, they actually back this up.
Right.
GOEIE noted this significant growth. They reported that 22 Irish acts 22 appeared in the top 100 streams in Ireland in 2025.
That's a huge jump from the year before.
It's a huge jump. It shows that homegrown talent isn't just breaking in, it's staying there, competing against massive global artists.
And that metric is so important. It points to a shift in how people at home are listening. Irish identity is now being consumed on Spotify, on Apple Music. It proves that tradition and tech aren't enemies.
And that energy is definitely going global. We're seeing this new guard of bands getting huge traction internationally. You've got Kneecap, you've got Sprints making waves everywhere.
Alongside the acts that are already established, like Fontaine's DC and Lankum.
Of course. Yeah. And the sources also highlighted the chart's success of Kingfisher, which is another name that's proving to be really commercially viable.
And that's the mix, isn't it? You have this raw post-punk energy that travels well internationally, but it's combined with this deep cultural anchoring from artists who are referencing or performing trad music. It's an ecosystem.
But I wonder, calling it a golden age, doesn't that make it sound like it just appeared out of nowhere? Like it was magic?
That's a really important point.
Because this success is built on decades of work, right? Yeah. Of education.
It is. It's a golden age now because the groundwork was laid years ago. And that point is, it's underlined by one of the sadder details in the sources, the passing of the singer Sean O'Shea.
Right.
The Irish Times noted his death was a major loss, not just for Irish music, but for Irish education.
That really brings it back down to earth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You realize how much of this relies on specific people, on individuals carrying it forward?
Precisely. His passing just underscores the quiet, foundational role these figures play. They preserve the identity through performing and through teaching. For you, the learner, this whole cycle of legacy and resurgence, it's a great lens for understanding how culture moves. It's legacy plus new tech-driven access.
And the proof that the energy is still high is just.
Yeah.
It's all over the calendar. You have TradFest 2026 coming up in Dublin, the announcement for Open Year's 10th anniversary.
A really vibrant live scene.
Exactly. And new albums from people like John Bleck and Danny Larkin, keeping things fresh.
You know, the source material also mentioned Biffy Clyro playing this huge Dublin show, and that might seem like a small detail, but it confirms that there's this healthy relationship between the local scene and the big international acts. Ireland is a must-play stop. It's not an insular scene at all.
Okay, that makes sense. The energy on the airwaves is clear.
You're listening to My Irish Music and Culture News, brought to you by My Irish Radio, streaming the best in Irish and Celtic music all day, every day. From classic jigs and reels to the latest Irish rock and pub favorites, we celebrate the sound of Ireland worldwide. Want to be more than a listener? Be a host. Share your love for the Irish music by hosting your own show on My Irish Radio. It's easy to get started. Just send us an email, myirishradio@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can listen 24/7 at myirishradio.com. Make My Irish Radio your Irish radio.
But what about the strategy? How is this cultural currency being spent around the world?
Now we're moving from this sort of spontaneous combustion of the music scene to the more coordinated efforts.
Right, to the investment angle.
Yeah.
And the sources give us some very concrete proof here.
They absolutely do. The state is clearly subsidizing and managing this moment.
The biggest piece of news is this massive state support from Culture Ireland. They announced funding of, get this, over $1.1 million.
Wow.
And it's for 129 Irish arts projects. Everything from dance, theater, music, and they're slated to perform in 33 countries.
33. I mean, that's not just support. That's a strategic government commitment to cultural export.
It's an assertion, isn't it?
It's a fundamental investment. It ensures this boom doesn't just, fizzle out at home. It translates it directly into global exposure and market access for these artists.
But when you see funding that big, that targeted, do any of the sources hint at a worry that this could lead to, I don't know, safe art? Or art that's maybe a little politicized, instead of being really innovative?
That's the classic tension, isn't it, with any kind of state funding? The sources don't really raise that concern directly, no.
Okay.
But they do frame the funding as being about global engagement. And the fact that the money is spread across 129 different projects suggests they're trying to balance that reach with some artistic diversity. The main goal is clearly visibility.
And while that investment is projecting the future outwards, we also have this big move to secure the past.
The heritage piece.
Yeah. The Moravian village of Grace Hill in Antrim just received UNESCO World Heritage status. That is a huge permanent win for Irish heritage on the world stage.
And if you connect the dots there, UNESCO status does so much more than just boost tourism.
It's validation.
It's total validation. It takes a piece of your national story and puts the highest global seal of approval on it. It secures its place in the global cultural canon forever.
So this all brings up a bigger question. What is this global push? The funding and the heritage status, what does it all mean for Irish identity?
Well, the sources touch on that. They note that Irish identity already travels incredibly well. I mean, from the roots of the U.S. vice president to the sheer power of an Irish passport.
Right. And that identity is maintained by diaspora.
Exactly. And there's this one community-level detail that I found fascinating. The creation of a new dementia center in Birmingham in the UK.
I saw that.
And it specifically focuses on using Irish culture, the music, the stories, as part of its care.
That's such a humanizing detail. It shows this isn't all about high art and big grants. It's about maintaining dignity and identity in communities abroad.
The synthesis is clear, I think. You have the state strategically funding the international stage, while at the same time, communities and heritage groups are anchoring the legacy, both at home and abroad.
So now let's turn to the stories themselves, the actual narratives being told on the page and on screen.
Right. How is this cultural moment showing up in the stories we consume?
Well, the sources suggest that the literary scene is just as healthy as ever. maybe the steadiest engine of it all.
It's constantly renewing itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of anticipation for new fiction debuts. We've got authors like Neil Tully, Anna Kinsella, and Colin Morgan. It suggests a really healthy pipeline of new voices coming through.
And that's a critical sign of cultural confidence, you know? You don't get that many exciting new writers unless there's a national belief in the power of the story itself.
But I think the biggest buzz, and probably the thing with the most commercial potential globally, is happening on screen. We have to talk about House of Guinness.
We do. The way the source material describes this show is just, it's perfect. It's pitched as a rip-roaring Dublin brewing dynasty drama.
Rip-roaring. I love that.
And it blends these two really recognizable, really successful formulas. The source says it merges the historical sweep of Downton Abbey with the kind of sharp contemporary tension of Succession.
That combination is so smart. It's taking this uniquely Irish piece of history, the brewing dynasty, and applying a dramatic language that the whole world understands and, frankly, is willing to pay for.
It's the perfect example of repackaging a cultural narrative for a global audience. It's not just presenting history, it's turning history into premium, high-value IP.
It shows that Irish culture isn't just about preservation anymore. It's about actively translating that legacy into sophisticated, marketable content.
Exactly.
Which brings us to our final segment. This is where culture intersects directly with current affairs, with the country navigating these really complex modern challenges.
Yeah, governance, politics, technology.
These parts of the source material show that this cultural boom isn't happening in some kind of, isolated bubble.
Not at all. It's fully plugged into the real-world issues of a 21st century country.
So first, the sources highlight potential political shifts. There's a new socialist president. And, we have to be strictly impartial reporting this. But the context is vital. A change in leadership often means a change in social and financial priorities.
Absolutely. The political landscape shapes everything. It can impact the arts funding we just talked about, media regulation, cultural priorities. It's all connected. A shift in politics could easily affect the strategy we've been outlining.
And then on the tech front, there's an equally pressing modern issue. It notes that the Garda Síochána, the Irish police force, they're set to address the Oireachtas, which is the Irish parliament. And it's about the misuse of AI.
Specifically naming things like grok.
Right. In connection with child abuse cases.
And that detail, it just brings this huge global debate about tech regulation right into the national legislature. It shows Ireland is actively grappling with these massive 21st century problems that are global but that need local and national solutions.
So why is it so significant that the Garda Síochána are going to the Oireachtas about AI right now?
Well, I think it shows the urgency. Ireland, because of its unique position as a major tech hub, is often on the bleeding edge of these problems. They see it sooner than other places.
Right.
So for the government to bring the police force into Parliament to talk about AI misuse, it shows they are treating this as a top-tier national security and social welfare issue.
It just shows that for all the cultural celebration we're seeing, there is still this heavy, complex work being done on policy to protect people from the darker side of modernity.
And that reinforces the main theme, really. Cultural strength doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to coexist with and sometimes compete against these incredibly complex political and technological realities.
That was a tremendous amount of ground to cover in one deep dive. From a small folk club all the way to the halls of Parliament.
It was. And if we recap, what we've seen is this culture that is, on one hand, honoring its legends like Sean O'Shea, while on the other, it's aggressively funding its future on the world stage. That $1.1 million for 129 projects is just, it's incredible.
It's rooted in this powerful, validated heritage, like the UNESCO site at Gracehill.
Yet it's also pushing the boundaries of global drama with House of Guinness, and at the same time dealing head-on with cutting-edge tech misuse in the Oireachtas.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? I think the information shows that Irish culture isn't just surviving, it's thriving.
It's thriving through a very smart mix of strategic investment, global outreach, and this dynamic blend of legacy and modernity.
It really is a kind of blueprint, isn't it? For how a country can leverage its cultural output for both international standing and, pride at home.
It's a story of cultural self-belief, but, and this is the key part, that belief is being backed up by money and by policy. It's the long game.
Indeed. And so here is a final provocative thought for you to mull over. We talked about those 22 acts breaking into the top 100 stream.
Right.
So when you consider that massive global funding push, the high-profile media like House of Guinness, and these robust internal policy debates, Will Ireland soon move beyond just exporting its culture to becoming a recognized global hub for cultural innovation itself?
Are they building the next global creative capital?
That's the question. Keep an eye on those charts and screaming numbers, because the momentum suggests this story is really only just beginning.
That's it for this episode of My Irish Radio, Music and Culture News. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can hear the best in Irish and Celtic music 24 hours a day at myirishradio.com. If you ever dreamed of sharing your favorite tunes and stories, now's your chance. Become one of the hosts. Host your own show right here on My Irish Radio. Just send us an email. It's easy as that. myirishradio@gmail.com. Until next time, it's Jamie Flanagan. Keep the music playing and keep Ireland in your heart.